down off the floor is not just about strength, it's about strategy. And in today's video, I'm going to talk all about the strategy of getting up and down off the floor, particularly because the gardening season is close at hand. Thank you so much for joining me today for Real Moves for Real Life. My name's Lisa Workman, and today we're talking about getting up off the floor, particularly when we are going to be outside in a short amount of time to do our gardening. Now, of course, you have to have some of the tools around you. So you can see I have a stool here as well as a chair. And in many cases, I have a well-loved kneeling pad that I have used in my own garden as well. So let's start there. Now, if you're thinking about coming down to the floor, you might actually have your pad here already. You need to be able to navigate your body weight down by bending through the knees and through your hips. Now, in many cases, you might actually start to grab with your hands towards the floor as you make your way down. Now, I encourage people to use these pads under the knees for some support. I'm on hardwood today, but likely when you're out at your garden, you're going to be on cement. So you're going to want something underneath your knees. So once you get down onto your knees and your hands, this is the situation where people come to and they just are kind of at a loss. Like, how do I do this? So this is where this strategy comes in. But before we get to the strategy, I want to quickly show you one way that I see people get up all the time. So what they do is they come onto their toes. Then they send their bum up nice and high as they lift their knees, very similar to a downward facing dog, and then walk their hands back and come up this way. Now, not necessarily a bad way of doing it. However, I want to give you a better way of doing it, of getting up off the ground and maybe using supports along the way. But you can imagine if that is the way that you're getting up off the ground, you can do it better. So we use the support of a chair. So as you start to bend through the knees and through the hip, maybe you place your hand on a surface. Now there are stools, gardening stools that are out there that are quite elevated, so you could have this sort of support. Or alternatively, you could have a little bit of a lower step here in terms of a stepping stool. So as you're bending down, needing to reach for something to then be able to lower to one knee and then the other. Okay, so you've gotten down onto the floor. I'm just gonna move this stool for a moment. And we'll use our gardening pad under our knees. Now it's not necessary, but as I said, it is something that you might want to consider having. So then once you get to this hands and knees position, you're really quite stable. You've got a wide base of support with your legs and your arms, and you have 4 points of contact, if not 6, hands, knees, and maybe the tops of the feet. So once you get to this position, a lot of people kind of get stuck here. They're like, I don't know where to go from here. And they're kind of looking up and they're like, how am I gonna get my body back up there? So this is where the strategy comes in. The first thing that we want to do is build a better support. And this support, although it's nice to be down here, and if I had my gardening tool, I'm trimming down here and I'm moving a bit side to side, then I need to get myself vertical. So what we're going to do is find the base that is going to support us on the way up. So it's a stepwise progression here. We're going to take one of our legs, doesn't matter which one, I'm going to bring this outside leg moving, and we're going to bring it out to the side, coming onto the toe. And if we can slowly bring that toe a bit further ahead, the leg can be super wide. That's no problem. Getting that leg nice and wide is going to give you a real wide base of support. Once you get there, you're going to try to flatten the foot to the floor. So again, increasing the base that you're giving yourself to be supported on. Now, in some cases, some people might be able to bring their foot all the way in and under, but others may not. So I'm going to start out wide because potentially that might be where you are. So you've set this really nice wide base from your knee to your foot now. And then from here, we're going to walk our hands back so that we can walk our hands up and come to more of an upright position. So once you are here, this is where we want to initiate this level of sort of effort. So we want to think about bringing ourselves upright before doing anything else. We don't have to make it one fluid attempt up. Now, the strength of your legs are important here. The base of the legs is also equally as important. And so we need to be able to drive our energy upward towards, well, hopefully the blue, beautiful blue summer, spring sky. So that's the hope. So from here, we need to be able to press down into this support foot, have our toes tucked on our back foot, and use both of the legs to press into to come all the way through. So you're going to drive. And when I'm going to say drive, as I want you to consider driving your hips forward so that you go up. So watch here. So I'm going to press into this foot, I'm going to press into those back toes, and I'm going to drive myself up. From here, I might be slightly unstable, and that's where this other foot's going to come underneath so that I have my base of support right underneath me. So we're looking at, again, let's go through this again. We've got our initial base. We can't move necessarily from here, so we're going to bring our base wider with bringing our foot up and through. And we're going to walk our hands back so that I can stack my shoulders right over top of my pelvis. And the drive is from the pelvis. We're going to drive up from those two hip bones that are in the hip socket. So I'm going to come onto my back toe. I'm going to be pressing down with this front leg. And here I go, pressing up and through. So for some of us, coming up without any arm support or hand support could equally be challenging. So let's add that base to our total base. So get back down. I'm going to come back down onto my hands and knees. I'm going to look for something to support me. So instead, I'm going to come sideways, do a little turn here on my foam garden pad. And I'll have something beside me. Maybe it's that high gardening stool. So as I come up, I can have that hand right here. And I just realized I didn't do my foot. So I'm going to do my foot, bringing it out to the side, getting my foot flat on the floor. This back toe is behind me, but here I'm going to actually have my hand on something. So the leg that's closest to the stool has that support. Now here's where it gets good. We've got base of support, hand, base of support with the foot, base of support with the knee and the foot behind. So we've got 3 points of contact to help us get up. Here's where that drive comes. So thinking about straightening out your hips and driving yourself slightly forward and up to get you up back to standing. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, drive and come all the way up to stand. Now my cushion was there. I could have stepped on it, but I opted not to because maybe I have muddy garden boots on. So I'm going to step over it. So we have that progression of base, getting ourselves stabilized, and then driving ourselves all the way up. So go back to the first way we got off the ground. If you can imagine, the bum was way up in the air and the two hands were the hands and feet were far apart. And that's requiring us to actually load up through the low back. So nobody needs to do that. We want to distribute the load through the legs and the joints, the lower body, to actually bring us back up to standing. So you can see where getting ourselves into the position of that kneeling position and working our way up, either with hand support or not, is much better for our bodies. We're using them more effectively and efficiently when we're doing it that way. So that brings us to the end of this Real Moves for Real Life. My name is Lisa Workman. I hope that you are going to have a wonderful gardening season ahead, knowing how to get up off the ground so that you can keep your flower beds looking top notch. See you again soon.